let's start off with this underlying principle. Leadership is ubiquitous. Everybody talks about it. Everybody says it's important. But if I'm going to use the classic Edward Deming's quote, that which you cannot measure cannot be improved. I don't want to make it too nuts and bolty, but I kind of miss in the modern leadership culture this awareness. Is there a structure? Where do I start as an individual? How do I do leadership on a strategic level, on a tactical level, on an operational level? How can I make my company fit for leadership? So let's kind of just jump into the thick of things.
Okay.
You're a CEO of your own company, so you have plenty of leadership stories there. But I'm also interested in one of the reasons why I wanted to use you in this podcast is because this is something that you do on a daily basis. So let's start off maybe with the easy stuff. Where do you see, from your perspective and also from the perspective of your clients, the biggest needs or pain points that they discuss when dealing with their leadership challenges in this century?
Yeah, that's a very good question and quite a broad one as well. I'll tell you what I'm going through at the moment. I'm dealing with a couple of regional players, some in the banking industry, some government. And the question was always is, how do we develop them? How do we measure the efficacy of our leadership? And what model do we use? And for me, I would say it's really difficult to answer all three questions because like you said earlier, you can't just take leadership and put your finger on it. And there's a lot of ways to measure your leadership style. You can do psychometric assessments. You can dive deeper into your psyche, and you can work with a coach, and you can get somebody to. There's a million ways to let you know what kind of leader you are. However, organizations need results. They need to see something that's tangible, correct? So we can talk about a million models of leadership, and some of them are amazing, but how do we put it into action? So for me, it's going back to basics. I always say that if you want to become a great leader, you need to have some basics. And basics for me is that you put your mouth where your money is, or the other way around, right? So for example, as a leader, what is required of me to become a great leader? Like what are those things I need to do? So people see, in terms of tangibility, they see action. So for me, as my team, they look at me and I'm constantly on stage and they see, what is my fearless leader doing now in this project, in that strategic objective? What is he doing? How is he behaving? How is he communicating? That's what you put your finger on the pulse of the leader and ultimately your organization. So model and format, I have one. Yes, and that's the one that I use and I've been using for years, ever since I started my journey in 2002, and that's been the model that I've using. Obviously, it evolved with the changing with the changing times and what's happening to the future of leadership and AI, what's happening locally in the region, and what are those hot topics. But the one thing that is evergreen are 7 leadership capabilities that are evergreen. And I think they withstand the test of time no matter what they are. And that's the toolbox that I always talk about. That if you want to be a great leader / manager / CEO, director, whatever it is, whenever you're leading, there's 7 evergreen qualities / competencies that you need to master. Those are non-negotiable whatsoever. And that's based on something called the team performance model. And I took that and I said, well, hold on a second. We are so fond and we hear about, data and dashboards and how do I put my finger on the pulse of my organization? So the dashboard for me is a team performance model. At the end of the day, I want my team and my organization to perform and to deliver results. Now, what happens along the way, as we say, the road to hell is paved with
or
good
the,
intentions.
or the stairway to heaven. One highway,
Yeah, exactly.
highway to heaven, or
Yeah. So that's the model I use, and I can break it down step by step.
I definitely want to share the model that you shared with me. I think it's important.